Depressive realism, we keep chasing happiness, but true clarity comes from depression and existential angst. Admit that life is hell, and be free. Life ranges from heavenly peaks to hellish pits. How you handle the ecstasy of the highest highs and the burdens of the lowest lows, including your perceptions of yourself, others, and how we can all relate to each other is what shapes your reality. Life isn't hell, nor is it good. Life just is. Every interpretation of reality is unique, and is also false. Since we're incapable of a true interpretation of reality, we might as well trick ourselves into interpreting happiness as often as possible. Right? Op is stuck in his own perceptions. There are billions of lives for whom quality of life ranges from shit to absolute hell. War. Starvation. Back-breaking labor to remain simply destitute. It's a pretty sentiment, but it's one wrapped in privilege and ignorance. My take is to revel in contrasts. It's my way of learning to appreciate things for their virtues. If you're on a mountain, try to focus on the view, the difference in the air, and the glory of nature. Then when you get into your cozy cabin, don't lament that the view is gone, rather try to appreciate how good the warmth of the fire feels now. Most of us can enjoy that contrast intuitively, but I've used that method to start appreciating rain, cold, new foods, new hobbies, and generally seek out new activities with an active and attentive mindset to notice the details. There are some exceptions to this, of course. If you're prone to anxiety, it's probably not that you should find the virtue in a panic attack, but rather find a way to accept it. I had a short stint of panic attacks, and I think I had 3 before I learned that the sense of doom it came with was artificial. Once I was content with the nature of the panic attack, it also went away. Another contemporary trap in the highs and lows of life is to instill a baseline idea that you're chasing happiness. If you do that, feeling sad feels like regression, away from the goal. If you accept that it really is inherently meant to swing around and contrast, you probably have a better shot at resting in the sadness or anxiety. Trying to run from it seems to drag you further in. In fact, I think of sadness a bit like noise when you're trying to sleep. If you focus on the noise and get annoyed at how it's stopping your sleep, it will be very effective at doing so. Similarly, in life, use the fact that you have control over your attention to fill your memories and life with things you choose to pay attention to. Also, I feel like my post makes it sound easy. It's not, and that's okay too. Your response is an elegant way to describe my philosophy on this topic as well. Experiences, even emotions, do not have any objective value. They are not inherently positive or negative. Their value, or virtue, is only one we attach to it. To me, this perspective is stoic, and if adopted can have profound impacts on one's subjective well-being for life. Thank you for taking the time and wording it the way you did. It's unfortunate your comment is somewhat buried. It could warrant its own post. It's not admitting that life is hell, it's accepting that there is good in the bad, and that there is bad in the good. I fell into the deepest depression after a divorce and hated waking up every day. Eventually, over years, I learned to appreciate sadness for what it was, signaling the growth I needed. I started writing, reading poetry, expanding my horizons regarding art, music, and philosophy. I entered nihilism and graduated from it with the simple realization that in a life with no meaning, we make our own. Now I cringe when I see people who only chase happiness because I know what's coming for them when they can't find it. Eventually, through contemplation and meditative stillness, I found a state of consciousness that is called awakening/grace/ whatever word you want to try and use to describe something indescribable. This life is a full spectrum. Every conceivable idea lands on a spectrum of fullness. The universe is never out of balance, and you simply need to know that hard times make better men. You will get through. You will find it if you keep on it. Someone else wrote, "Could not have said this better. Turning 39 soon. I've lost a nearly adult child to cancer, I've divorced, and will hopefully soon remarry, and have dealt with depression my entire life. Trauma only punctuated the background misery, a black hole sucking at the already empty space. But this one truth is what keeps me going. Finding beauty where I can, taking the time to stand in awe of it and appreciate it for what it is, and just trying to be the kindness and happiness I wish to see in the world. Carry on, soldier. You aren't alone." I'd say the biggest hurdle is to stop judging yourself off your expectations and ideals. Ideals are things to walk towards, and they are always changing. Ideals are unreachable is a constant. Knowing yourself to be a timeline of Zambos and collective effort as opposed to the final state of being helps me with that. The core though is that you fundamentally can choose how you perceive the world through habit. Noticing bad habits, where they come from, not judging yourself but instead congratulating yourself for noticing it. Do you hit your dog when it pees next to the door? Or rather, do you hit your dog ever? Then slowly watching to see when those habits emerge. Over time you can start noticing them before they happen and get in front of them. You can build better habits that just override that habit. You can recognize the dissonance in the habit which basically just unravels it pretty quick and makes it easier to move on from it. There's a lot you can do with awareness, shifting your perspective, etc. The biggest thing is to approach yourself as an ally. Don't fight yourself so much, or do wrestle with your ego and ideals and take control. Apparently that works for some people. Just don't hit yourself, it's not a good teaching tool. Thanks for listening to You Day. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell for daily updates. Let us know what you think and or suggest new topics in the comments.